Hello, good morning, London. We will reach 15 Celsius today with lots of clouds. Time ago, cloud computing. Well, good morning, Will. How are you doing?
Yeah, not bad, Jesus. How are you?
Yeah, I just go through all my notes here and then I just jump in. But yeah, very, very nice to meet here today. We have a very interesting topic. Time ago, the cloud computing, cloud software was top of mind, right? In top of the conversations. I think today it's AI. So we will be talking about the rise of AI sales capability framework. This is a first of a series focused on AI, our global sales transformation event, the 20th event this year. We'll join senior professionals in the same auditorium on our beloved London Stock Exchange by the end of November, and we will discuss about winning the right way, human connection in the age of AI. So AI is quite interesting. So we'll be exploring tech, people, processes, and strategy around AI in this series from now for the next 5 months until the end of November. And we will invite amazing expert guests to talk with you and us. And maybe you can join and decide to take the mic and join the conversation. So our little small of history today is about agents, right? So the Latin word agens, I don't know if I pronounce well, really. That's too many years after. Was used in the ancient Rome as early as the classical Latin period. So we are talking about the first century BCE to the second century BCE. So agens, comes from agere, and agere is the meaning is doing, acting. It was used in legal mainly for a person acting on behalf of another, but of course, it appears in some other philosophical and grammatical scripts. Then after that, the word agent was first recorded in English in the late 15th century, around 1840s, with the meaning one who acts. So we are talking about somebody that acts. In other words, the agent for the agent AI, if you take it right, is where probably it comes from. In the modern ages, and AI has been influencing the sales space since 2016. And back then, we were just seeing lead scoring and predictive tools enter CRMs. Now we are watching AI agents help write emails, generate forecasts, and even handle objections, right? Massive evolution. Yeah, Will, so this is our topic today.
Exactly. But I think in today's world, AI poses a lot of challenges for sales teams, and AI tools doesn't necessarily mean you're AI capable. Um, and the rapid rate of acceleration in AI means that you always sort of feel like you're catching up to some extent. And today the focus is unpacking what that capability actually looks like through things like frameworks, mindsets, questions every sales leader should be asking. But for anyone that's listening, please also join us, submit any questions you might have, um, and add to the conversation.
Yeah, yeah, that would be fantastic to have questions from the audience as well. So let's start broad. Why do you think, well, so many sales teams are suddenly talking about capability frameworks?
It's a really good question, and broadly speaking, I think we're operating in a world that we keep mentioning is changing so rapidly, and pressure is up. Performance pressure is up. Expectations on salespeople are constantly increasing, and not only that, we're seeing like a rise in people being made redundant. Headcount can be down and things like that, and AI feels like it's an enablement tool that can lead to a huge productivity for salespeople. So it's incredibly important that we get on top of this. And I think AI is being layered more and more into things like workflows, um, sometimes without structure. I think at the moment everyone's trying out where AI can really add value and efficiency. And I think leaders realize success is is sort of less about the adoption and more about enablement. It's more about kind of increasing the knowledge on how to actually operate and use these AI capability frameworks.
Yeah. Yeah. Always we think about capability like a mindset and trust and data fluency all together, right? And without trust in AI, probably the reps, I mean, all the salespeople will not use it, even if it works. So I think the trust element between two humans has been always in all our conversations, but now it's a trust with a non-human pal in right in sales, which is your AI tool, whatever it is. We will get into the different options later, and this is a major shift because you really have to trust on a computer or a system or whatever on technology to prepare you or to make something for you depending on the price where you are in, right? So we need more than features, really. We need a behavioral change that is connected to this trust that has to generate, right? Has to be generated. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a top-down approach as well. I think for sales leaders, they need to really trust in the outputs that any kind of AI system can deliver. And that filters to the front line, and to enable the front line to really get the benefit of AI, there needs to be a culture within the organization that's, please do leverage it. We talk about productivity, and last week's conversation says this, that with these tools, the assumption should be that sales professionals should be incredibly productive moving forward.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So on the capability framework, that I think we need to move that there, right? So if we talk about that a bit, I wanted just to make a little stop on for the audience, for the audience benefit, because there are a lot of people speaking about a lot of AI, but what AI really does, right, today. So I think in one of the conversations I was recently, there was a very nice framework that was talking about informing decisions. So really, it's informing about giving you some information, but you still do the decision, right? There are other ones that reinforce the decisions, which means that they guide you through the process. So they train you, and you get better ready to do the decision, and that's how the AI may work. And on the most advanced one, in an agent, right, it's more like act on your behalf. So it's about making decisions. So I strongly believe that as of today, in many of sales related activities, we are more on the informed decisions rather than reinforce or make decisions itself by the agent. But this is coming. This is an evolution. It will start to get more um, a better accuracy, right? So for me, the key pillars on the capability framework should be probably the data readiness, the quality of the data. That's very important. If you inject bad data, that's useless, completely useless. So we need to be extremely strict on this quality. We need to have enablement with the tools, but also coaching and training. We need to train the tools. So we need to have the right data, the quality data, and the right training. So we need to spend time on this. If we use AI just without not the right data, not with the right training, I mean, we cannot get any real outcome. So people may be frustrated by trying AI without the right elements, and then not delivering, not having the right delivery, right? And this will probably uh, separate people succeeding embracing AI to people that is not. So for this, I think we need to embed use cases and to give a very process and a structured feedback loops to all this training. No?
Absolutely. And I'm interested to hear your thoughts, but um, I feel like there's different levels of um, kind of agency, as it were, of how AI can be incorporated. I think today, certainly how I'm using AI is, I'm sort of using it as an assistant to complete tasks that are driven by myself. It's still very much a human-led approach. and it's my decision as and when I want to use AI to complete various tasks, and hoping that they will, they'll increase my productivity. But I think with the future, and what you see so much in the news about is, at what point AI replaces that kind of those human touch points, has us. And I think there's different there's a different scale that organizations might be using it. And I'm just wondering, I'm just keen to gather your thoughts on that. Is that a way we should be approaching the implementation of AI into teams and how they adopt AI? How do we take someone on this evolution in terms of using AI and how they can embed it in their work practices?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and it doesn't have, as usual, a single answer, right? Because it depends on all different organizations, different cultures, different technology stacks. Sometimes you'll have a commitment with some technology stack for a number of years. So embedding a new technology, which maybe overlaps or even substitutes some part of the process, is something that is not easy, right? But what is true is that we see a huge investment in AI in many fronts, right? It's not just about, so you see, of course, the most media impact ones, like Meta buying Scale AI for, I don't know, $14 billion, something like that. But then you find out that Scale AI was the engine training the ChatGPT from OpenAI and Copilot, etc., etc. So we need to understand all these navigations, right? Because at the end, many people is taking a move. Many people is investing huge amount of money. When I'm talking about huge amount of money, I talk about billions of pounds, right? In the industry. So the is so much information, so many people's doing some things with AI. When a team comes and say, okay, we need to adopt AI, and sometimes we ask customers, and yeah, we have AI, and they say, well, we use Copilot to write to review some emails. Okay, that's fine, but that's probably what many people are starting to do. And yeah, but there are other companies that are more advanced, that are connecting to new software with new platforms, or they are developing inside as well. We see some of the customers developing some AI agents connected to their private content for specific tasks, right? So I believe that the answer is not unique. It depends on your industry, on your cultural team, on or your sales stack. So it depends on many things, right? What I believe is that this is a journey, right? So I don't see this technology making a substitution of the sales professionals, right? I see it more as an augmentation. The problem is where you start from. Do you start from just Copilot, or just may introduce some AI features that maybe your CRM provider is starting to use, but then you see that your CRM provider has been in the market for 20, 30 years, has some legacy, and then you see newcomers that are born AI and are really exponentially growing and creating better outcomes, right? So
Yeah.
it's not an easy answer, and I think every company has to do its own complete assessment. And as you said, AI advanced very quickly. So what is true and right today, maybe in 3 or 6 months, is not true. It's not true or right. Right.
Yes, I think that's also another challenge that we're all facing, isn't it? But you touch upon something that I just want to go into a bit more detail around, kind of the building the frameworks that scale. And what do we think a great AI sales capability framework should include, Hezes? And what should leaders be thinking about today?
Well, I think there are different aspects, right? So AI can be used for different aspects. If you think about it, some of the initiatives we've been starting to explore and potentially adopt in the near future, we will announce, right, is more on the coaching side. So if And AI is able to get access to millions of data in a second, which we are not, right? We are not so fast. And is able to make summary or provide insights very quickly, then it may help me to make a decision faster, right? Uh, but on the other side, it can train me as well on how to make the decision. So there are two elements on the training and the delivery of the decision or topic, whatever you want to call it, right? So I believe we need to think about AI in an holistic way. So if we think about a sales professional, what they do through their, through their year, they talk to customers, they prepare proposals, they have team meetings, they do training, pro training, but they do also some sales training. Uh, so there are various topics, right? And in each of them, AI may have a role.
Yeah.
So I believe that companies are starting more with how the AI is helping me to access the data in my database, how the AI is able to analyze how many times I've been contacting this customer through different employees, right? I mean, so the relationship health. So it's AI is starting to help on these matters. Uh, but I believe that some breakthrough companies are starting to see a much wider a scenario where potentially there might be what we called in the previous framework agents, which are the ones that make decisions and act on your behalf. So maybe you're on holidays for 1 week. A customer is asking, um, I have a question about the last invoice because I see that something has been wrongly, blah blah blah. And then the agent takes all this information, goes to all the systems, analyze, and return back automatically a response saying, "Well, you are completely right. Sorry for that." Or they can present as the AI. I mean, agent or pal or whatever, but they can give a response automatically, right? So there are certain things that the AI and the agents are starting to be successful. And we've seen that previously. Some years ago we were talking about machine learning, right? And I had an insurance company in Spain and Latin America that they reduced 80% of the emails response from human to machine just by algorithms and analysis, right? So the benefit is they give us free time to dedicate more time to human connections,
Yeah.
right? And that's the beauty of it.
And I think that's so important for sales, and it's reassuring a little bit as that you said that, because it just suggests that for a sales professional, we're not going to be replaced by AI. It means we
No.
focus on sharpening our own skill sets in order to meet those the requirements for the customer. So when we talk about AI, you're talking about the capability of the AI, and this is more around sustained performance, right? This is about how it can embed in a workflow that as a human we're currently naturally doing, but say it can run in the background and it can be doing tasks that otherwise you would spend on. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I think if you split your day-to-day tasks, right? If you go back to the years and imagine you were a consulting person, right? And you were going to be talking to a telco guy, and then you have to do a previous analysis to start to talk about an opportunity. Maybe it took you, I don't know, half day, 1 day, 2 days to do the appropriate analysis. I mean, appropriate analysis, right? With graphs, statistics, etc. Now it's a matter of minutes. And if you have the right tool and you've used it before, you know how to do the prompting. So it's really amazing. You get information that otherwise it will take you a lot of time and potentially money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because previously, you had all these databases that you have to pay for a huge amount of money. So so it's not everyone has access to this. So you are democratizing the access and the efficiency to everybody. So yeah, I think we need to use it to augment the human in a way that instead of spending a lot of time in repetitive tasks, that
Mm.
anyway we are not going to be as fast as the AI is, because we are right and connected to all so these things. It's better to use our intelligence into the human connections, into the creativity, into create new solutions, new things that we can amaze to the customer, right? And
Yeah.
that's where our value is transformed. If I think about it, I do this simile from back in my consulting years in Accenture, because I was very jealous at that point. I'm talking about early 2000s. We were jealous about McKinsey, because McKinsey, I mean, we dedicate maybe 70% of the time to do PowerPoint, right? And 30% or 20% to think about the PowerPoint, right? I mean, I'm talking broadly, right? But then when you think about that, McKinsey was completely opposite. So they spent 70-80% on thinking, drawing a paper, sent to India. Next morning, 9 a.m., they had a nice PowerPoint in their inbox. So the AI is transforming the way people is doing a lot of things,
Mm.
right? So it's true that we will detrain some of the skills, how to do PowerPoint, how to do analysis, and we need to be careful with that. There are some interesting research from the MIT that came in the last weeks about that, right?
Yeah.
So we need to be careful, because even they made an analysis with the brain waves and all the stuff with with a short sample, but the results were really interesting. So you need to find the right balance, right, in order to make this work. So you need to use it, you need to know where to use it, how to use it, when to use it, and then what to do after using it. So it's not that they will give all the answers. They will put you in the position to think about what is the best solution, what is the best conversation, what is the next statement that you're going to be discussing with the customer.
And has there something you just said, just it made me, a question just sprung to my mind, because when I think that AI can replace some of the more sort of fundamental tasks that, certainly maybe more early careers, junior professionals might be doing, and we're saying that AI agents can really perhaps replace a lot of that activity. Does that, how will that affect early careers, and what are the skills that you would advocate for anyone sort of starting in a sales career to develop? Because I'm reflecting on myself, Jesus, a little bit, because in my career, you start by doing quite often the repetitive tasks, um,
Yeah,
research, prospecting, and so on.
yeah.
And you're saying the repetitive task can be placed or augmented by AI.
Yeah, I think repetitive, yeah, or repetitive is one category, right? Another category is about research, for instance. So
Mm,
normally, when you have a broader sales team and you have to do a strong research, right, across different competitors, peers, get a lot of information just to position your key account plan, uh, you know, um, key strategies. Normally, this is something that potentially somebody in the early career will be doing to work later from that information with the senior leaders, right? Uh, so there are different ones. I believe that the key is how, I mean, the mentality and the behavior of the early career one, right? So we can see some early careers that, well, they think about themselves not being techie. So they think that the AI needs too much techie world. It's like a middle in the techie, so find the solution. And I think a lot has to do with lack of knowledge about how to use it. What are the key benefits? Hey, you've been mandated to do a research or an analysis or prepare something. If you don't use AI, you will need 2 days, right? If you use AI, you will need much less, but of course you need to be careful that AI is not the end of the game. It's not going to be giving you the final result. So you get whatever AI, and you still have to have a lot of critical thinking, right? So you need to reflect and think what you're given, if it is makes sense, and once you have analyzed and it makes sense, then what is after that? What is the value you put on top? Because at the end, if the anyone early career senior leader is using the AI to prompt and to get an answer and deliver the answer directly, then this person will be substituted by AI soon, right? Their AI is already prompting, right? So
I just thought I just wanted to talk a bit about regional and cultural influence. Do you think companies in different parts of the world approach AI capability differently?
well, I think so. I think so. Probably there are cultures that the human relation is much more important than others. So if you think about the Latin American cultures, the human element is very, very important. So potentially the adoption of AI is not going to be such easier, because they will believe that AI is taking part of their, not in the research, but maybe on preparing communications, preparing proposals, or triggering. So probably this last stage to go to the agent instead of informing or training is about doing. It's going to be much more complicated in cultures where the human interaction is is very much important. If you I mean, I don't want to just say like in general, but if you go North Europe, probably normally this the human interaction is still important, but it's different from let's say the Mediterranean countries, for instance. So probably these different mentalities will make them adopt differently. That's maybe my view.
Hmm.
Mm, mm.
And do you think in Europe, which tends to have a more regulated market, I guess frameworks and things like that, data security, need a lot stronger governance. Um, I think
Yeah,
I think we'll just see a different level
yeah,
of
it's a very good point, Will, because even we've been recently talking to some lawyers, and indeed we are going to be inviting a lawyer expert on IP in one of the episodes, and it's something very new, right? It's something very new when you think about, well, it's not about data protection, because when you train an agent and it's a third party training the agent, what who I mean, this training, who it belongs to, which of which of the parties, right? It's not an easy thing how you do determination of it. So the frameworks, as always, everything around frameworks, legal regulation goes very, very late for technology, but in the sense of AI is extremely late, because it's not like we are developing a mobile phone and then we will take 1 year or 2 years. We have time, right? It's not like that. Or we know that the 5G or the 6G is gonna be coming. We have time to regulate, right? How we are gonna be doing the different bands, overlaps, etc. This is not. This is the it's gonna be the fastest revolution in the technology, right? If I'm pretty sure that we will start to see a lot of curves between the adoption of internet, the adoption of mobile, and we will start to see the adoption of AI, and it's going to be like a vertical line, right? So it's going to be like a completely. I think we had a comment from Sami in the chat about where do we think AI adds more value, prospecting, pitching, closing, or post sale. Will, I think in my view, I think it will be more on the prospecting and pitching rather than closing or post sale, right? Because closing, well, post sale maybe, but on the moment where the human connection is more important, when you do the pitch and you are closing and negotiating, probably it's more the human. So maybe it's like the AI starts to with high use goes down because of this moment of pitching closing, and then in the post sale it can increase a little bit because there will be some automatic post sale matters. Well, what do you think? Well,
It's thank you for the question, Sammy. Yeah, there's you can see how AI can unpack every single stage that you've highlighted there. So when it comes to prospecting, I think there's now an expectation to be more personalized. AI can really enable at scale personalization in a sense that it couldn't do, even 5 years ago, even probably a year ago. And so I think you can see how prospecting, it can really add value. You can see how AI can be implemented within like your email services providers, so you can send out quantities of personalized prospecting type of emails. I've seen that happen before. When it comes to pitching, I mean, we're seeing it today that the tools now, if anyone's using Copilot or Open Otter, which we've been trialing,
Yeah.
you can, there are AI tools that are brilliant at kind of transcribing your meetings and adding action points and next steps. And, these are like critical time-saving tools, and also enables you to keep track on everything that you mention, and making sure that you're following up in the way that you said you did during the meeting. Because I'm sure
Yeah.
at the time when you're in the moment, you're pitching and
Yeah.
you are listening, but there's a ton of things going through your mind at the same time. It's easy to overlook something. So you can see how AI can be included there. Closing, yeah, I mean,
That's no, that's yeah,
I'm
that's
thinking out
completely
loud, but yeah.
yeah, that's completely right, Will. It remembers me when sometimes people ask me about AI. I think, I'm a fan of Marvel movies, and I think about Jarvis, the AI personal assistant of Tony Stark, right, Iron Man. And I look at AI as like this, right? It's some technology that is helping you, doing the analysis for you, but still you as a human have to do these things, right? So
Yeah.
I'm conscious of time, Will. So is there anything we will recommend to sales leader to do after today? What do you think we should recommend?
I think AI currently it doesn't replace human capability. It augments it. That's the message um, that we want to share today. And the teams that get it right won't just be more efficient, but they'll be more impactful. So the winning formula is to find the right balance. Going back to what you were saying at the start, Jesus, as the ancient Greek Aristotle developed on his famous Gloden mean concept in the 4th century BC.
Yeah.
That's all, folks. Tune in, tune up, and sell smarter.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Will.
Thank
See,
you.
see you
Thanks.
next Thursday. We will, sorry, it says 8:30. We will move to 12. We are moving this to 12 to see if it's more convenient for everyone. And I believe next week we will have an AI super guest, but we will announce soon. Thank you very much, everyone, and enjoy the day.
Thank you.
Bye.